The dirty secrets behind the fresh food in our supermarkets and fast food outlets.
There is slave labour in this country. It's something we need to get rid of. We need to address it and we need to do it soon.
2 weeks, no pay. Come on. Come on.
I want my money.
Your workers aren't getting paid.
Did you expect to experience this in Australia?
No, absolutely not. We were shocked. It made me question Australia as a country.
First world country, third world bondage. Welcome to Four Corners. The idea that slave labour might exist in Australia is abhorrent, but get used to it. When it comes to food, we're often exhorted to buy Australian, and we probably assume when we see a sign on the supermarket shelf produced or grown in Australia that it's safe, hopefully fresh, and we're supporting local jobs. The major supermarkets trade on those assumptions. But a Four Corners investigation using hidden cameras and undercover surveillance reveals a very different and quite shocking reality. Extreme exploitation of migrant labour, sometimes on false documents. Wages well below legal limits, punishing working hours, allegations of abuse, harassment and assault. Tonight's program will show how the nation's biggest supermarket chains, Coles, Woolworths and Aldi, and at least 2 major fast food outlets, are sourcing their produce from some suppliers who use shamefully exploited workers provided by labour contractors. We're told by authorities these practices are very hard to uncover. I hope they're watching tonight. The reporter is Caro Meldrum-Hanna.
It's 11 p.m. In an overcrowded sharehouse in suburban Adelaide, an alarm rings and rings for 5 minutes. Finally, the Taiwanese backpackers living here, both working holiday makers, wake up. How many hours sleep did you get last night?
1个小时，差不多1个小时。
They're getting ready for another gruelling night shift at a nearby chicken factory.
因为那时候我要过来的时候，我爸就叫我不要过来，他说我英文不好，所以就叫我不要过来，就是会怕我被骗。然后，对啊。
Are you embarrassed because that's actually come true?
是，可是还是要做，因为我们没有工作，我们就没有钱赚了。
What's happening to Mo and Kevin in Australia and to more than 150,000 migrants on the 417 working holiday visa here to toil in our factories and on our farms is shameful.
It's not an Australia that we would put on the tourism brochures. It's not an Australia that we would talk about publicly, but it's an Australia that, where it exists, I'm ashamed to be a part of.
It is definitely the modern-day equivalent of slavery.
Coles is bursting with delicious in-season Aussie fruit and veg.
It's a far cry from the glossy supermarket ads.
At Coles.
The brands we trust, the food we buy and eat on a daily basis.
If we were to be told where our food was really coming from, what would be printed on the punnets of our tomatoes and strawberries?
It would say picked and packed by exploited labour.
It's a 15-minute drive to the Bayarda Adelaide chicken factory, where Kevin and Mo have laboured for the past 2 years. Up to 18 hours per day, 7 days a week. Secret camera footage has captured the reality inside the factory. A relentless pace. Workers processing up to 47 chickens a minute. Coles-branded boxes waiting to be filled. Workers say they aren't allowed to stop and drink water or even go to the toilet for hours on end.
就遇到就是有一个人，他就是比较常会想要尿尿，然后就不准他去上，到后面他真的尿在裤子上面了。 非常夸张，非常夸张。
Kevin Kevin and Mo were originally employed by Bayada, but last year a labour hire contractor named KC Fresh Choice was subcontracted by Bayada to take control of the workers in a section of the factory.
Where the situation gets particularly difficult is when a third party gets involved, like a labour hire company.
Who are these labour hire contractors?
Look, if we knew who they were, then we could stop this happening. They fly under the radar, and the Department of Immigration doesn't know who are these labour hire companies that send 417 visa holders to different locations.
When KC Fresh Choice took over, Mo and Kevin's pay was suddenly slashed. The legal award wage is over $25 an hour. Mo and Kevin were paid $18.
Where is that money going then? Who is taking that money if you're not getting it?
I think it's KC take, yeah.
So they're skimming off the top?
Yeah.
The employer will give the wages not to the worker but to the labour hire company. The labour hire company will then dole out the wages to the worker at a later date.
And skim off the top?
We know that occurs.
Here, an exhausted Kevin is seen cleaning maggots out of crates in the warehouse. According to his own work logs, Kevin has been underpaid by $30,000. Mo says he's owed $28,000 in unpaid wages. They're just two of many.
How many people work at the factory with you?
Total is maybe 100 people.
100.
Yeah.
And is everybody losing that money as well?
Yeah.
Day and night, a constant stream of migrant workers enter Bayada.
多的甚至是女生，她们就是工作，那个是一个很低温的环境上，所以在你做事情的时候，你冰冷久了，你手是无法动弹。那女生的话是无法忍受，甚至就会哭。
What sort of things is the supervisor saying? What was he saying to those women?
然后会就是一直骂他们，然后他们已经都没有力气了，因为上班时数非常的长。对。
Why are you so stupid? Why are you so slowly? Keep going.
She called you stupid?
Yeah. Oh, I said.
Kevin's girlfriend Queenie recalls being among 20 women in the processing line cutting chickens, all crying from the excruciating pain in their hands, while their female supervisor verbally abused them.
You know, when I think at that moment, I feel, it's very hard. Yeah. Because, it's very terrible. Because they will say, you cannot stop. Keep going faster, and the speed changed to more quick. The line more quick. Oh my God.
You couldn't stop?
We couldn't stop. We couldn't.
This is where Bayada's chickens end up, on the shelves of Coles and Woolworths, branded Steggles and Lilydale.
The label says 100% Australian grown, and that may be true. What we aren't told is that these products have been processed and packed by exploited migrant workers, many of them grossly underpaid, routinely abused at work.
Bayada also supplies Red Rooster and KFC. It's a massive enterprise. Processing 3 million chickens every week, it's Australia's largest poultry supplier, boasting revenue of $1.3 billion annually.
If we look beneath the surface, there's a whole lot of working holiday makers performing low-skilled jobs, dirty, demeaning, difficult jobs for which they get paid very little.
Beneath the surface, at Bayada, labour hire contractor KC Fresh Choice is running another racket, an off-the-books illegal workforce. Security passes belonging to legal workers no longer at the factory are given to workers on expired or invalid visas who enter the factory and work under fake identities. The illegal workforce is overseen by a supervisor at Bayada.
那他就会拿其他人的卡，就会给一些就是你不能带的那些人 卡，就他会拿出来，然后给我，让我去上班。对。
We caught the scam on camera, filming from the back of our car while Kevin recorded the conversation with his supervisor using his mobile phone.
2张卡，7527，你这2张都拿。先用这张，如果不行用这张。你可以放在你钱包，一边放一张。然后你就打个，比如说这样，钱包就给它摊开，然后一边刷一下。
Bayada has been caught out by the Fair Work Ombudsman for underpayment of wages at factories around the country. Using a labour hire contractor instead of employing people directly reduces a company's responsibility for what happens to its workers.
Some of these labour hire companies are actually set up for the very reason that they want to be a sham. They want to take a vulnerable group of migrant workers and then sell their labour on to an employer. Some of these employers are honest, law-abiding citizens, but they turn a blind eye to the exploitation because it's the labour hire company that does the dirty work.
At Brisbane Airport, these 5 Taiwanese and Hong Kong nationals have just fled Beresfield, New South Wales, where they worked at a Bayada chicken factory under the control of a labour hire contractor. 29-year-old Mao says they were paid a pittance, almost half the award wage.
就我们的时薪都是13块啊，就很累，回去的时候就都累瘫了啊。
所以我就觉得很不公平，然后薪水一直不对，这是怎样？这是骗我们的意思吗？
Mao and Kenneth are heading to Bundaberg, the salad bowl of Queensland, hopeful the job they've lined up on a cucumber farm will be better than the last. They agreed to let us follow them. Up to 10,000 migrant workers journey to Bundaberg annually. Most have no idea where they'll be working or who they'll be working for. Job ads are kept deliberately vague. They were taken to an isolated caravan park outside of town. Work began at dawn the next morning.
辛苦，然后腰跟背还有脚屁股都非常的酸，还会中暑。前面我已经做这样了。
Things haven't improved in Bundaberg. Mao and Kenneth are being paid around $12 to $14 an hour to pick cucumbers, well below the legal hourly rate. They've found out an Australian worker on the same farm doing the same job is earning over 20.
Why I will go to Australia, go to work, leave my family, leave my grandpa, my father, my mother. And in Australia, I have what? I have nothing.
The injustice of being treated like an underclass in Australia is weighing heavily on 22-year-old Kenneth.
我妈妈，我奶奶叫我，如果你不行的话，你就可以香港，不要待在澳洲这么辛苦，就是这样。因为薪水不对，你又在这边那么辛苦，家人也不能照顾你，你只有一个人在这边，我就觉得很不公平，所以来到这里。
At 4:30 a.m. on a rainy Thursday morning in Bundaberg, a stream of white minivans emerges from the darkness. Carloads of migrant workers like Mao and Kenneth are being delivered by their labour hire contractors to dozens of fruit and vegetable farms. It's an organised daily routine. Has a culture of exploitation taken hold in Bundaberg?
We believe it's at the point where it now has a very strong stranglehold on the labour market for our industry, and this is a very worrying time for us.
There is slave labour in this country. It's something we need to get rid of. We need to address it, and we need to do it soon. The time for more inquiries and more reviews is over.
Keith Pitt would know. A second-generation sugarcane farmer, he's also the federal member in Bundaberg.
It's a very large industry.
He's been calling for help from the government, funding to set up a special undercover team to stop the slave masters and break the business of exploitation.
We need people to work in basically an undercover mode to try and crack down on this. Because if we don't, we will never ever catch the people who are actually coordinating it all behind the scenes.
Well, if there were undercover operations and if money was actually set aside for that, what do you believe would be exposed?
I think you'd find that there's effectively a whole heap of crooks making an awful lot of money out of the exploitation of people who really don't know any different.
I just said, are we getting paid cash or into our bank? And he just went, you get the pay slip, or yeah, but what's the pay slip? Is it cash or is it in the bank? Yeah. And then I went, why is it different to last week? And he went, because it's changed,
British backpackers Molly and Katie, along with their 3 friends, have been caught up in a complicated web of labour hire contractors.
We need to speak to the farm directly.
Starting at a hostel and leading to a sweet potato farm.
It felt like slave labour. We felt like we were going back in time. It was crazy. The way we were being treated was inhumane.
I just don't understand how...
Legal workers here on a 417 visa. Their labour hire contractor put them to work at the largest sweet potato grower in Queensland, Acres Farm, run by Dean Acres and his wife Rosie.
We're lucky enough that myself and Rosie are the only direct sweet potato growers that have direct supply to both the major chains, Woolworths and Coles.
In this online video, inside the Acres processing shed, a group of happy, relaxed workers. Molly and Katie tell a very different story. They say they were verbally abused all day by Dean Acres and farm supervisor Tim Blackley, nicknamed Tim Tam, pictured here together.
He had us stand like in a row, me and the 3 Japanese girls, and I've never heard a human being speak to other humans how he spoke to those girls. He used to literally call them like retards, like he was just awful.
So not only was the supervisor Tim Tam doing this, but the owner was also doing this, Dean Acres.
Yeah.
I'm going to fire you. If you don't work hard, I'm going to fire you and I'm going to fire you. Like, it was just awful. He came to me and was like, and who the fuck are you? And then he was like, why have they sent me a new girl? I wanted Asian girls.
It's within our fucking human right to get paid.
Molly, Katie and their friends have to go begging for their pay, returning to the hostel that lined them up with the job.
I don't know.
You said Friday as well, though, yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never hear from him about the pay.
So what are we supposed to do with we have to pay rent, like I'm sure you can appreciate. We have no money. Supposed to be running a business.
Another manager arrives. The confusion continues.
You've not been paid anything either. It's so bad. This is the thing though, everyone needs to come forward and like say. See, look.
You talk to 5 girls.
See, look, Baba, look. This girl has not been paid anything. No pay. No pay. How can people work and have no pay?
The super test.
No. How?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. No pay. Come on.
Yeah, come on.
Come on.
I want my money.
I'm talking about...
Their labour hire contractor is heard on speakerphone.
That's why they're coming now.
Sorry? I can't log in properly. I don't know why. What did he say?
Okay,
can you just ask him when we are getting paid?
When? They can get money.
He's bringing the money 7 or 8 o'clock, he say. Bring the pizza. We can't do nothing.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Don't bring any more European people.
Let's go.
There was no money that night. The girls left empty-handed. They were paid several days later. Did you expect to find this and experience this in Australia?
No, absolutely not. We were shocked. It made me question Australia as a country.
In Victoria, Mildura and neighbouring town Robinvale are magnets for migrant workers. The region produces a massive 70% of Australia's table grapes. Right now, demand for itinerant workers is at its peak. The season is drawing to a close. Grape farmer Tony Natale is filling the day's orders, supplying the big supermarkets. For the past 6 years, he's used a labour hire contractor to source all of his workers.
Now, be honest with me, do you think there could be illegals here?
To be honest, there could be. I'd have to say that, because unfortunately we lose completely track of what the contractor brings in, as much as we do sit down as who comes in and who goes out.
Natale has been caught with illegal workers here before. Every single picker on the farm is Asian. Natale says they're all paid correctly.
There may be a few illegals here. Is that what happens? Do you just turn a blind eye?
You're caught up in a situation where we've got your season depends on that crop. If you think there could be an illegal there and you're going to all of a sudden lose all your workforce, you just have to say, well, geez, let me get my crop off at least.
And the grapes then, are they being packed by exploited or illegal labour? Is that the truth of it?
Oh, you can say that. You can say that, yes. But unbeknown to the grower, though, I think the grower does not get himself involved with it, to find out. I think that's where the problem lies.
What sort of things are
John Catus is the Deputy Mayor of Swan Hill Rural City Council. He's watched his town of Robinvale become the vortex of black market labour, overrun by unscrupulous labour hire contractors, in full view of the authorities.
And don't tell me that they don't know who the contractors are, because every morning you see buses going from here. Who owns those buses? Where are they going?
So who is policing the labour hire contractors? Because what they are doing is illegal and it's on a grand scale.
Nobody.
The Department of Immigration swooped on Robinvale 6 weeks ago, rounding up illegal workers for deportation. But the labour trade brazenly continues. The streets filled with white minivans, labour hire contractors ferrying workers morning and night.
Well, instead of police and immigration going after workers, who should they be going after?
I think they should be going after the contractors for a start and asking the questions. Have a look at their books. Where's their book?
At the extreme end of the scale, what's known as black market labour, we found there are no books at all, and the labour hire contractors are impossible to pin down. We're on our way to meet a group of migrant workers who've fallen into the black market trap. They're living in a rundown, crowded sharehouse in the middle of a grape farm. We had to meet them in secret. We've obscured their identities for their own protection.
When we came into the house tonight, we had to come in secret. Why?
因为这里有很多违法的事情。
Are there lots of illegals working in Robinvale?
是，这里有很多不只是背包客，也有些只是观光签证，然后就来这边工作的人。
Meng, Jason and Vivian, Taiwanese nationals, are all legal workers on legal visas, but they've found themselves stuck in a black market, off-the-books job. Fearing deportation if they speak out, they're desperate for help.
Is this a black labour job?
是的，都是直接领现金的，完全没有什么账号或者是税号。
Meng and Jason's first farm job in Victoria was a disaster. When they arrived, the farmer escorted them to a horse barn where they were expected to live. Inside the horse barn, how many people were living in there?
Maybe 10 to 20.
10 to 20 people in a horse barn?
Yeah.
What did you think when you saw that?
Oh, it's very terrible and awful. Oh, so I don't like there. I can't stay there any night, so I live there.
Meng and Jason, videoed here picking grapes, don't know the address of their home or the farms they work at. They're under the control of a labour hire contractor who pays them half the legal wage, averaging around $11 an hour. 20-year-old Vivian is paid even less. What's been your worst week?
250.
Okay. 250.
Around
there. That means you were only making $3.95 an hour.
Yeah.
Does that make you feel sad looking at that?
Oh, really bad. Yeah.
Did you think that when you came to Australia, when you're working hard, you would be paid as little as $3.95 an hour?
No.
The grapes Vivian is picking and packing are going to the popular cut-price supermarket chain, Aldi. Aldi and each of our major supermarkets have policies on ethical sourcing, telling us the food we buy isn't tainted by exploitation. According to the National Union of Workers, the policies aren't worth the paper they're written on.
All of the major suppliers are using dodgy labour hire contracting arrangements that fundamentally exploit the workers who pick and pack the vegetables that make their way onto Coles and Woolworths shelves and that consumers buy, believing that that produce is produced fairly in Australia.
In October 2014, the NUW wrote to Coles, Woolworths and Aldi, alerting them to systematic, unlawful employment practices in the vegetable supply chain. Nothing's changed.
I could take you into a Woolworths and I could show you the farms where which farms are using contractors, and you'd be surprised it's across all product categories.
We did exactly that. Onions from South Australia.
Workers here make $17 an hour, which is illegal.
Corn from Victoria.
Workers make $15 an hour and pay $125 a week to live on the farm in a Demountable.
Okay, carrots, broccoli.
So these are both from Covino farms in Longford, where workers are paid $14 an hour, work up to 22 hours a day.
Tomatoes from Adelaide.
So this is Divine Ripe in South Australia. Workers here are grossly underpaid. They make about $17 an hour.
And women are being subjected to an even worse form of exploitation. At 5 a.m, 31-year-old Stephanie from Taiwan begins her working day. She came to Australia on a 417 visa to travel and work, believing she'd be paid fairly and treated with decency.
In Taiwan, we try to find our rights, but in here, we are like a homeless. We don't know the rule and no one can help us.
Stephanie and her friend Carrie leave home before dawn. They've been picking cherry tomatoes at Divine Ripe for almost 6 months. Divine Ripe is Australia's biggest tomato greenhouse, one of the country's most prestigious growers. What sort of reputation does Divine Ripe enjoy?
They would be probably displayed as the jewel in the crown in South Australia. And the government often refers to them as a model employer.
The proud recipient of $2.5 million in government funding, Divine Ripe produces 15,000 tonnes of tomatoes annually, propelled by hundreds of migrant workers.
They have a layer of permanent employees who are paid award wages. They have a layer of casual workers that are paid award wages. But then at the very bottom, they have a layer of workers, maybe up to 100 out of a workforce of 400, that are provided by a labour hire company that are not paid correctly in accordance with the award.
That labour hire company is CNC Labour Hire, run by this man, Peter Yim, pictured here with a group of migrant workers. Four Corners understands CNC Labour Hire supplies Divine Ripe with a quarter of its workforce, 120 migrant workers on varying visas and rates of pay.
Someone told me, you are casual job, you are part-time job. This is not real, this is not legal working pay. I said, what? How much is real legal pay? She told us 21. I said, what?
没有，是税后。CNC Labour Hire is underpaying workers like Stephanie by up to $5 every hour. It adds up to thousands in missing wages. Stephanie, Carrie and their friend Eve were lured to Australia by a travel agent in Taiwan called Glory Group, who, according to these employment documents, charged them almost $1,500 just to get a job.
They're lured into travel, and they approach an agency. That agency, for a cost, set up the trip. They set up the accommodation when they get here, and they set them up with work when they get here, on the promise that all is going to be well.
因为我来澳洲其实是因为我妈妈过世，所以我才想要换一个环境。
And you got here and something bad happened. When Eve and her friends arrived in Australia, the Taiwan agency handed them over to labour hire contractor Peter Yim, who took them to live in a house filled with 10 migrant workers. Soon after, they were paid a visit by Peter Yim's friend, Dinesh Dungana. One of Divine Ripe's own, Dungana is a glasshouse supervisor. Filmed here with South Australia's Premier, Jay Weatherill.
So before we get an interview, Danish come to my share house and help us how to pass the interview.
So Dinesh just turned up? Dinesh Dungana singled out Eve for special attention.
他来我们家里说要找我，然后要跟我单独在房间谈话。然后当我们进到房间的时候，他就跟我说他很爱我，然后想要跟我约会。可是，然后我就说，就是不要单独。然后之后他就亲我的手跟亲我的脸颊，那是第一次。
How did that make you feel, Eve?
Very scary.
Eve says the unwanted advances escalated, with touching and kissing at work inside the glasshouse and text messages and calls to her mobile phone.
我拒绝他很多次之后，有一次就是真的就是跟他说我有男朋友了，然后他才生气。他生气以后就整个就是对我工作就是变得很一直刁难我就对了。
Eve reported the harassment to Divine Ripe management. Soon after, labour hire contractor Peter Yim called her to a private meeting.
This is like, thank you very much for your time, and that's it, okay?
We don't have any, and there's no more work for you. Okay, so finished.
Oh, okay. So you mean he can't work here anymore?
No, she can't.
我觉得很不公平，因为我向公司抱怨，就是希望公司对他有所处罚或什么之类的。我不在乎我能不能回去工作，可是就是公司并没有给我任何答案，就是只有说我不能回去工作。
Did he kiss you?
Yes.
If you could send me. We've tracked down another woman who says she was harassed by Dinesh Dungana and propositioned for sex while working at Divine Ripe.
我就说不要，我跟他讲说不要亲我，我直接很认真的跟他说 Don't kiss me。他跟我说他在 Monson Lake 那边有房子，然后他说如果你去住跟他一起睡的话，就是可以不用缴房租。
That's what a problem. Now it's still wrong over there.
Dinesh Dungana is still employed by Divine Ripe. Videoed here in the glass house 3 weeks ago. He denied the allegations made by Eve and Ada. Divine Ripe continued to use labour hire contractor Peter Yim to source migrant workers. We tracked him down, operating out of a car park in a demountable office at a different address to the one advertised. He wouldn't answer any of our questions on camera about his workers. Neither would anyone from Divine Ripe.
What does that say about the culture at Divine Ripe?
Unfortunately, it says that the profit is more important than the workforce.
Divine Ripe's tomatoes are being supplied to supermarkets across the country, including Coles, Woolworths, Aldi, Costco and IGA.
If there's just one worker being exploited in this way, it's not good enough, but we know that it's happening on quite a significant scale.
Gippsland, Victoria is home to Covino Farms, the salad king of Australia.
So Covino produces packaged salads and pre-cut vegetables in packages. That they supply that to Woolworths and other supermarkets, and they supply KFC and other fast food outlets with their lettuce.
In the past 7 years, the company has received more than 30 improvement notices for breaches of workplace health and safety laws. It's also being investigated by Fair Work for the underpayment of wages, with allegations of workers labouring up to 22 hours straight. Despite this, in November 2013, the Victorian government awarded Covino a $1.5 million grant.
So at Covino, there are about 200 workers who are working for $14 an hour. So what's happening at Covino is for every hour that every single worker works at Covino, they're having a $7 stolen from them in wages.
24-year-old Winnie is one of those workers.
It's so tired. When we work, the time is too long.
Winnie is contracted to work at Covino Farms by a labour hire company called Chompran Enterprises. The union claims a massive $2 million in stolen wages is being siphoned off by the company every year.
Is Covino aware that workers are being ripped off in this way?
Absolutely.
Chompran Enterprises is represented at Covino by this man, a labour hire contractor mysteriously known only by the name Sam. Four Corners understands he manages around 100 migrant workers at the farm.
因为我一直觉得他其实是个好人，我那时候没有想太多，就不觉得他会是个这么贱的人。
In November 2014, while working on the processing line, Winnie seriously cut her hand, severing the nerves in her index finger. A few days after her surgery, labour hire contractor Sam took her to his home so that Winnie could get her pay.
其实我是想要赶快弄一弄，然后回家，但是我在等他拿钱。
Winnie says Sam forced her onto his bed, pinning her wounded hand down so hard her stitches opened.
然后我想尽办法要推开他，因为其实我手受伤，但是我知道我的手好像在流血，因为我很用力的推开他，但是他很高，我非常的用力推也推不太开，然后直到他手还伸到我的衣服里，然后摸到我的胸部。
Winnie managed to escape. She reported the incident to police and to Covino Farms. That was 5 months ago. Covino continued to use Sam and Chompran Enterprises as their labour hire contractor.
Yes, I'm very angry. I think why keep it used? Because Sam is so bad, I think.
We requested an on-camera interview with Covino Farms. The company declined. Stories of Asian migrant women being sexually harassed and assaulted at work are widespread.
Are you aware of allegations that migrant workers, itinerant workers, are being asked to perform sexual favours in exchange for an extension of their visa?
That is another report that we have heard on numerous occasions, is in return for signing off on their second-year visa application for those legitimate visa workers, that they have a choice. They either continue working for nothing, or they pay a significant lump sum, a cash lump sum, or provide sexual favours.
There are fears organised syndicates are also moving in across the country.
We've heard that some of these syndicates are actually bringing in people to service the workers, so prostitution, basically. That's a very big concern for us.
My view is that we need a multi-jurisdictional task force. We need all levels of government to get together and to try and have a coordinated effort to crack down on this.
At 6 a.m, Winnie waits in the rain to be picked up and taken to Covino Farms. She's still working there. She says no one from the company has helped her.
I think it's so sad, and it's too bad. It's terrible.
Do you think you deserve better in Australia?
Yeah.
This is where much of Covino's salad ends up, at KFC stores across the country.
It's the lettuce in your chicken burger and the carrots in your coleslaw. After meeting so many migrant workers across the country and seeing their despair, one thing is clear. Our fresh food supply chain is riddled with exploitation. It really makes you stop and think, where is our food coming from?
If people knew where their food was coming from and what had gone on, do you think that people would be buying it?
I don't think they would. We have an underclass at the moment who are underpaid, who are being exploited, and it has to stop. I guess my view is that this is slave labour, and in Australia that shouldn't happen.
I wonder how these revelations sit with your idea of a fair day's work for a fair day's pay. Covino Farms and Divine Ripe have now informed us they have terminated their agreements with their labour hire contractors. A spokesman for Acres Farm says the company rejects the allegations that its workers were abused, while KC Fresh has denied it is using illegal workers. We requested on-camera interviews with the supermarkets and fast food chains, all declined. Their written responses are on our website. Next week on Four Corners, the fight over remote Aboriginal communities. Are they a lifestyle choice, or are they a right? Until then, good night.